Well, the very happiest of Friday afternoons to you all from Birmingham Motorsports Park, just outside of Birmingham, Alabama, technically in Leeds, just about 10 miles to the southeast of the city center of Birmingham. This is the World Racing League on DriversEye Live. My name is Brendan Kazmarek. I hope to be joined by Ryan West here in a few moments' time. It's been a slightly last-minute thrash to get this put together for Friday of the day run, so we're not trying to maximize pace in the early morning or the late day when the track temperature is coldest. It allows everybody to be setting times on or in equivalent track conditions, which just brings the field that much closer together, and a really, really exciting first for the World Racing League. Feels like something of a There we go. I think we've successfully made it back. Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park. It's it's going to be something of a challenge to get us all squared away this afternoon. But I invite you to go over to race-monitor.com. That'll be your source for live timing throughout this afternoon's qualifying sessions. We'll have the ticker. Try this again. Internet issues in the booth. Who could have pictured? You see off in the distance there a couple of cars making their way into the pit lane. That is because we've gone to a black flag all here. So waving yellow down at the exit of turn number 1, I can see just to my left here from the booth, which is right at start-finish. And it looks like a car maybe had looped it and is going to need to be recovered there at the exit of turn number 1. Again, it was kind of a thrash to get this all set up this afternoon, and as a result, we've only got a handful of our cameras up today. Our producer, Jordan Worth, will be with us tomorrow, but is not with us, unfortunately, this afternoon. So we're all kind of figuring this out as we go along, and appreciate everybody's company and patience as we do so. At the moment, we've got a provisional pole sitter of the number 185 from Barber Motorsports. It's a GTU car, one of the Sebico NP01 Evos, a 132.024 will lead the grid overall with 0.3 of a second in hand over the Stratus number 59. Here Ryan West has arrived. He'll be up on the TeamSpeak channel here shortly, and we'll get him involved. That is the top 2 at the moment in GTU. Your GTO pole sitter, provisional pole sitter certainly, at the moment is the number 4 from Thunder Bunny Racing. Who would have thought? They missed the last couple of races at the end of last season, but I believe it'll be was scheduled to be the 225. So I'll look for that car here in a moment. But I don't see the blue, white, and black Supra anywhere on the pit lane. Maybe down there just at the end. Kind of learning in real time here. Is that Mr. West I hear? Apparently not. Wait for Ryan to announce his presence here. In any case, Thunder Bunny Racing number 4 currently sits on the GTO class pole with just about 1/10 of a second in hand over the number 1 of round 3 racing. That is GTU entrant, as a matter of fact. Gonna have to get used to that. I wasn't a part of the coverage down at Eagles Canyon Raceway. It was DriversEye Live's first three-peat weekend, which was an experience in and of itself. But in any case, the number 188 Lupe Tortilla Fast Track Racing BMW M4 at the moment with the Off-Leash Motorsports number 40 Ligier, currently sitting 3rd there in the GTO category. So that makes your GTU pole sitters at the moment 185 and 59, with the round 3 racing number 1 there 3rd in class at the moment. Stratus number 60, 4th in GTU, just about 1.5 seconds further back. I'm also getting used to the lack of race hero at this stage, which is something of a challenge in and of itself. Do we have a Mr. West? Here's what I've done, is I've done this completely wrong. Let's try it again. Ryan West, are you with us?
Now I am. Hello?
There.
Hello?
Yes, we do. The problem is I can't hear Ryan, so give me a moment on that. Ryan, you can just take the viewers through this initial black flag period here for a moment while I sort out some other.
How about now?
Some other details.
I don't know if can the people hear me? I mean, if the people can't hear me, they can't hear me. All right, so I am here. I think Brennan just gave a rundown on
we got you
what
now,
was going
Ryan.
on currently. Oh,
Fantastic.
okay. I don't know what's. All right.
We did it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Great.
Welcome, Ryan.
Yeah, I can't really. I don't really know what to vamp when expecting to come in and have you already speaking, and then I'm going to play off of that.
The problem
but then
was
when
I couldn't
come in
hear
and you're like,
you.
keep talking, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, sorry. The problem was I couldn't hear you. So
Gotcha.
we've got that
Well,
squared away now. As
excellent.
I mentioned in the chat, I'm responsible for pushing buttons at the moment in addition to trying to carry the viewer. And let me tell you, I think I've made an error.
Well, I
happy to have you along.
Why are we not just doing it in Discord, you see? Since there's just two of us.
I don't have time to explain that. But that's a good question.
All right. Okay. Sounds good. So what's going on? What do we got going here? I'm looking at a blank piece of track right here.
Yeah,
so,
we had a black flag there very briefly. And we've got cars once again.
Are we green, green, green here?
We are green, 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 which is appropriate for this weekend, also being the IndyCar season kickoff event down in St. Petersburg.
Now having moved to Fox.
That's correct.
Which means NBC and Peacock now hanging on by a thread. My desire to be subscribed to them.
Yep. So we do have cars back out.
First car on track here is the blue and white Supra. Is that Kingpin?
I believe it is. It's the second Kingpin entry, not the number 11.
Right, and then here's the GTR 99, the BMW M4. I was told, Brendan, I don't know if you heard this last time out. I know that you go back and re-listen to all the broadcasts that you're not on.
I do.
My understanding is that the M4, the reason people have kind of gone back to that a little bit is if you're a sort of gentleman driver type bloke, you can set it up a lot more compliant than you can the Supra.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because I remember when the Supra was kind of introduced to the World Racing League, it was all about what you could get the Supra to do, right? It was all very positive at the front end. It was a little bit more reactive to what the driver was trying to tell it to do. And at the time, it was very much the outlier in the GTO class. And it sounds like now that we've got a whole generation worth of GT4 cars that have been redeveloped like that the G82 M4, such as that GTR 99 team is campaigning, that we can get cars to do things that the second-gen cars couldn't. And now we operate in a much wider way, which I think you're right. I think that's one of the things that G82 BMW actually does remarkably well.
Indeed. So we'll have the entire field coming through here trying to take qualifying laps. Officially, how much time do we have remaining? Did we pause the clock, or is the clock still going and we're going to have
I believe it's a time certain end, Ryan, at 1:35.
Okay, so we've got, about 20 minutes or so. So that's enough time to put in some laps here. They'll be looking for some space and traffic like this car has.
Yeah, that's the Roberts Motorsports. It's the Roberts Motorsports 185. I'm sorry, it's actually not. It's the number 7. The Roberts car has just come down pit lane. That number 7 is the Capstone Motorsports Sepaco and Visa,
Okay,
which we haven't seen for a little while.
We might
from
have
memory.
seen it last time out? Question mark.
Part of a massively boosted GTU field this year, Ryan.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been fantastic.
12 cars
There's
this weekend?
Yeah, I believe so. And it's a class that provided great racing. I think the cold conditions at the start of Saturday last time out were a bit of a bear for people to come to grips with for the first, racing laps. It truly an anger for some of these GTU teams. But now, I think having had this, a whole weekend under their belts, the other teams that were not Stratus were posting competitive times as far as laps are concerned. So the pace is going to be there. It's just a matter of, I still believe, learning how to work the traffic when you have a car that makes speed in a completely different way to the rest of the field.
It is, and Barber is one of these tracks that it could kind of go either way. There's enough slower corners here that you would think it would kind of benefit the GTU cars trying to carry pace, but they don't really get to use the downforce that they generate to their advantage. And the punch that the GTO cars will have by virtue of having 100, 150 plus extra horsepower does kind of offset some of that, despite the tricky and twisty and technical nature of Barber Motorsports Park. And we'll have plenty of time to talk about that on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah,
of course. But yeah, it does seem to be a pretty even split at the moment as we get a timing refresh from our boy Dave McDaniels over my right-hand shoulder here. At the moment, it does favor the GTU cars ever so slightly, and that is another thing you kind of come to expect here, is as the GTU field populates itself a little bit more, it pushes the bar that much further up in GTU specifically, where teams are digging deeper, looking for new ways to set up the car, trying to find additional pace, looking for new ways to switch on the tires, and that is another thing that's going to push that class's pace up that much further. Whereas the GTO field, I mean, we've been at this now for, 5 years in running GT4, FIA GT4 adjacent machinery?
About that, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've decided that for this season I'm going to bring in some more ESPN-like discourse to the World Racing League here.
Oh,
and I'm
okay.
going to be making decisions about who I think is going to win based on grit and, who's got that dog in him, who wants it more. It's all fine and dandy to, look at data and stuff, but I really think that what WRL is missing right now is just that, gritty, founded in nothing, just nonsense. Looks like there was a little bit of an off there.
It was.
On the inside. Ooh.
Yep.
Perhaps a tire down, perhaps a left front.
Well, so I caught it in my preview window here, Ryan. It went wide over at the 11 and 12 transition, skidded off kind of through the gravel trap, and then set it up on completely the wrong trajectory as it came up over the crest of the hill. I'm late in my camera switching here. I do apologize.
You're no Jordan Worth.
No, boy, don't
CEO.
I know it. Boy, don't I know it. Is that the number 4?
4 for Dale.
I think it's 4 for Thunder Bunny. It is.
Let me just see if I have vMix on my computer. Oh, I do.
I promise you, you could not be doing a worse job than I am right now.
I mean, the current registration key has expired.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We'll be okay.
Okay. Well, I mean, I figured, at HPDE time would be a good time for me to teach myself how to do this.
That's, it's a fair point.
On the fly.
The cameras will be up for much of the afternoon. 18 minutes left on the clock, so we're about halfway here. It's an unofficial clock, but it is counting down exactly to 1:35 Central Time because I set it up that way.
Currently, the Stratus 59 still holds,
down into the 29s. 129.9, and all of a sudden, in GTU, they find themselves with a 1.6 second margin over that Roberts Motorsports number 185. So a couple of laps to bring the tires up to temperature very methodically, and all of a sudden that GTU entry is well out in front of the GTO, the rest of the GTU field. Never mind the GTO pole sitter, who I think we're right in saying for the first time, at least provisionally, is the off-leash Motorsports Ligier JS2R.
Yeah.
That car has come such a long way. If you're new to the World Racing League, we'll have it on screen here in a moment. There goes one example of it. That's actually the, find that number here. 669 from Rapscallion. There is the off-leash Motorsports number 40.
Yeah.
That green and black Ligier headed down from turn 8 into 9 and 10.
It carried a plain black livery last time out, so it's nice to see some color on that car. It makes it pop a little bit more. Have you seen the bodywork off of that car, Brendan?
As in when the bodywork is off of the car?
Yes.
No, I have not.
So that's a two-frame freaking race car under there, man. Like that's that's a heck of a build under there.
The Grand Am Racing League.
Basically, I had like inboard suspension, I want to say, on the rear when I was looking at it.
Layla just showed me a note here as she's sitting over my shoulder here on the left side of the booth. Off Ligier.
Off Ligier. Yep.
I don't know how we haven't made it that far before, but
I'm glad that she's here to help us with that. I genuinely, like that's something that we need that's going to get used. I appreciate that.
Resets provisional pole in GTU 131.023, still upwards of a second.
4/10 adrift of the number 70 of round 3 racing, making its return to the World Racing League.
Yes,
we've got a spinner. Oh, we got another.
That's the number 7.
Some oil down. Maybe?
No, I think it's just
like
that tricky transition from 14 into 14. And
is that what they call Pocono?
Hashtag 14. If you try to put more steering into the car to get back to the apex, it'll snap the rear of the car around. Running an entire broadcast off my hotspot at the moment. Not the way I'd anticipated this going. It is a weird, kind of a weird looking track at the moment without the GP cars. I'm into the idea, and I think it's very fun. And one of the other points that was made this morning by Dave McDaniels as we were discussing this is the fact that this means everybody has tech. So the lap times you're seeing are of cars that have been through tech. They've matched their declaration sheets, and these lap times are valid.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't have that kind of weird situation of cars going out untech'd, unrestricted, whatever the case might be. Is it a legal time? Is it not? This forces everybody to go through tech by lunch. By 1 o'clock, all the GTO cars and GTU cars need to be done. They're sent on their way, and they to put out their lap times, or put up their lap times. Excuse me. Off-leash Motorsports into the pit lane. It's number 40, and looks like they're going to rest for these last 14 minutes or so on that 121.023. I don't see the round 3 racing number 70 out and about at the moment, or at least I haven't. Oh, actually, it's headed down into turn 5 as we speak.
Yeah, as soon as the last lap updated to a long lap time, I noted that they would probably be heading back out. So that might be a driver change, too, potentially, between Carter and Cole's Cole Lofsgaard. I think the reigning pole champion, or at least it was at one point, WRL.
Sure. That 4:45 time, I think, is indicative of somebody who's letting the tires cool down a little bit, maybe taking some time to bring it up to pressure, or was just out of the pit lane. There it goes halfway up the straightaway from 8 into 9. Yeah, now that you say that, Ryan, I think you're right. That 4:45 is not somebody trundling around at 45 miles an hour, whatever the case might be.
No.
Down into the really quick turn 11 and 12 here. Stand the thing on its nose, down another gear. Get it up over the crest of the hill. Enter stage left. That paved curb there to the inside. Wait for it to reappear as its teammate goes sailing off into the pit lane. Number 70 hugs the right-hand side of the track back down to the left. I don't have a start-finish camera up at the moment, but the 70 round 3 racing Porsche comes across the line and sets a
131.6, so it does not improve the time.
No. It'd be interesting to see.
Now, again, if they just came out of the pit lane, you got to get, a little bit more temperature in the tires, maybe.
Third place in GTO at the moment is still that number 4 of Thunder Bunny Racing. It's an all-black car with the white Thunder Bunny outline and just a little bit of blue accenting on the number plate. It's kind of weird. Taking some time to wrap our heads around it. Yes.
The 739 Rapscallion car has gone up into second in GTU on the back of a 130.7, so still about 0.8 seconds right in front of the pole-sitting number 59. But moving right on up the order, bumps the 185 down into third. The number 1 of round 3 racing is currently sitting fourth, and then followed by the number 60 of Stratus.
So that's 739.
And the 739, of course,
go ahead,
is the other Ligier, correct?
It's the JSP4. I'm going to get the moniker wrong there, but it's you'll see it here enter from the left side of the camera, bright green and purple and a little bit of blue. This car, I think I'm right in saying they've been trying since Eagles Canyon last year to get that car into GTU. It was on display, very much on public display, when we got down to Decatur at the start of the 2024 season. Made its appearance in various entry lists during the balance of 2024, but never actually made it out on track. It was in the races at Eagles Canyon, Ryan, was it not? Sorry.
It was, and it did decent. Again, everybody had kind of a weird run out of Eagles Canyon. The weather conditions were odd, and first race of the season, etc. But that car races in an interesting way versus the Stratus. It drives, I think, more like a GTO car in traffic. It's got more power on the straights. It looks like it's trimmed out a little bit more. It's a little bit heavier, of course.
I was going to say, so, I think if it's a little heavier, I have a little bit more punch off of the corners that those NP01s have obviously lacked.
There's some discussion surrounding a potential upgrade to all the Stratus cars, switching to the EcoBoost 2.3. Which could potentially mean that they can rearrange some of the class structure and get that car more even with the Rapscallion car as far as power.
Interesting.
So there's discussions going on about that, of course. But for now, that Rapscallion car coming out of the corners has a tough time. The Stratus 59 able to really, really get the jump. But, you'll see towards the back part of the straights that car starts to reel him in. It races very differently to the other two cars, and it's a situation where if you come along that car to lap it or you get caught behind it on the pit cycle, it's very difficult for the Stratus cars to get around it because it just has enough on the straights to hold everybody off.
So your GTO pole setter is still that number 40 from Off Leash Motorsports, round 3 racing number 70 in second. The number 2 of ACP Tangerine Associates now up into third. So your GTO leaderboard as manufacturers go now looks like Ligier, Porsche, BMW. New livery
Supra
on that number 2 that looks really, really nice at the moment. I'm sorry, Supra. Oh, for the number 4.
Supra in fourth.
Yep, and then down to another BMW in fifth with the Lupe Tortilla Fast Track Racing. Number 188, Random Vandals with the old spec BMW, the F82, down there in sixth, and then the GTR 99 BMW, as it should be, all is right with the world, down in P7. Track's thinned out quite a bit at the moment. Unfortunately, I think much like we see at the beginning of our race sessions, Ryan, as we get eyes on that GTR 99 BMW, as we have at the beginning of our race sessions, you really only get a handful of good laps in the tires before everything really starts to pick up temperature. And in the heat of the day, such as we are at the moment, I'm just not able to get down to those ultimate lap times after, let's say 7, 8, 9, 10 laps put in so far by the class leaders.
And you can't just go back in and bolt on another set of softs because that's going to impact your allocation for the rest of the weekend.
Sure.
So you got to be careful with that.
I mean, theoretically, I guess you could, but because there is no allocation. But,
correct. I mean, it still has to be 200 treadwear. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
I don't want to start rumors, of course.
It's an interesting.
I was joking. I was making a Formula One reference. I was not implying that any team is doing any kind of working the system.
Pick up the round 3 racing pair here. The Porsche factory livery adjacent Sebico NP01s, red and then blue.
I told Brad McCall I was very disappointed. I was leaked a livery for round 3 racing, and that does not match the leak.
No, not even close. Swap shop. We were told swap shop, and we ended up with Porsche factory.
Which looks good on this car.
Yeah, I think I'm right in saying the red is the number 1, the blue is the number 10. Does that sound correct?
That does sound correct.
Brad McCall immediately up today, causing trouble in timing and scoring office here. That's not true. He was having a very pleasant conversation with Dave and relaying some stories of Eagles Canyon. Mr. McCall, not the biggest fan of the Eagles Canyon layout, but I think we feel a little more at home here with those.
Eagles Canyon reminds me of Ozarks. It really does.
That one I don't see.
It seems like the kind of track that if you have a small, nimble car, it's probably a blast. Anything that makes any kind of cool or good lap time, it looks like it would be really difficult. Hard to find the rhythm, and, you know.
The best onboard videos I've seen from Eagles Canyon have been the old Formula Mazda cars. The first generation cars, to be clear, not the Renesas powered ones, but of the 2006 vintage. But there's a handful of them that still race down in various parts of Texas in the SCCA, and they look like an absolute blast around a place like Eagles Canyon. And you would think that the NPO1 experience would transition fairly well.
You'd think that.
Yeah, you would think that, but...
is there more downforce on an NPO1 than there is on a 2006 era Formula Mazda?
That's a good question. My guess
there
would be
might
yes.
be.
Bigger
there
diffuser,
genuinely might be.
Fenders. Yeah, I'd buy that.
It's probably a little bit of a different beast.
Quick look, just earlier came through screen. You may have noticed a white and purple and slightly orange Toyota Supra. That is the AE Victory, number 119.
Yeah.
Yep, back
making their return to the World Racing League with the new car.
Well, it's kind of an old car, but for them it's a new car. It's weird to say that Toyota Supras are old, but it's at least the second owner for that Toyota Supra GT4, having previously been campaigned for half a season-ish by the GTR 99
GTR 99. Yep.
Sarah Montgomery told us last year that they had picked up the keys to that machine towards the end of last season and would be running it this year. Of course, AE Victory also held the Gong Show out at Indy Motorsports Ranch back in January. Last month, still, somehow.
Yep.
Technically. Until tomorrow. But anyway, did catch up briefly with Sarah downstairs at registration. And excited to see what that car can do this weekend. Down at the moment, we scroll through timing, 24th overall in class, 134.5. So pace not quite there. But
new car, though.
New car. Yeah, and at least one new driver. I can't pull it up at the moment because my hotspot is running the broadcast. But, of course, the Gong Show winner, I don't know that they called it the Gong Show, but the shootout winner from the Indy Motorsports Ranch event behind the wheel of that car this weekend. Checkered flag is out because, of course, it's a 130 finish, not a 135 finish. So.
Nice. Good. We nailed that one.
We've
Good
done
job.
well. Yep, thank you. I will not be taking questions.
All right, so that gives us a rundown in GTU. The 59 Stratus holds onto their pole lap, followed by the 739 Racing Rapscallion Ligier, and then the 185 of Roberts Motorsports in third. Rounding out the second row, we have the number 1 of Round 3 Racing. Third row, we have the 60 of Stratus and the 7 of Capstone, followed by the 909 and the 908. Two teammates there on the fourth row. Fifth row, we're going to have the number 10 of Round 3 Racing, the 58 Stratus, and then at the back, the number 95 of Dawn Motorsports. All NPO1s with the exception of the second place car. In GTO, we've got the number 40 of Off Leash Motorsports, really off the leash here. 9/10 of a second ahead of the number 70 of Round 3 Racing to take that first position. Starting the second row, we've got the number 2 of ACP Tangerine Associates in their BMW, followed by the number 4 of Thunder Bunny Racing, a BMW and Toyota. Second row, followed by an all BMW row, the 188 of Tortilla Fast Track Racing, as well as number 82 of Random Vandals. Seventh place, we have the number 99 of GTR. Eighth place, we have the 11 of Kingpin Racing. Ninth and 10th, you're going to have the 444 of Bruce Innovations, by the 77 of Ghost Shores Racing by Kingpin. 11th, you're going to have the Speed Syndicate Aston Martin in the Airbnb orange and gray, followed by the number followed by the number 72 of PMW Motorsports. 13th, we have the 246 of TCB Racing. 14th, the aforementioned number 119 AE Victory Toyota Supra, part of the Shift Up Now program, I believe.
More on that later.
And 15th place, we have the ACP Tangerine Associates BMW. 16th, we have the 669 of Rapscallion, and then the 290 Janetta of Moorhead Speedworks did not set a time.
Yeah, I believe we saw that car out earlier, and I think You know what? I wonder if that's the car that had the off down at turn number 1. I had not pulled up the race control log yet to go check that. But I do wonder if that's what went on down there at the exit of turn number 1 to cause our black flag there initially. My race control log still stuck on Eagles Canyon. Get an update on that. Ryan,
Yeah.
would you like to chat through this next 35-minute session, or do we want to step aside and come back for the general production qualifying session?
It may not be a bad idea to have a production meeting right now, Brendan, if I'm being really honest.
That's very fair. Do we assume we don't want to do that on the air?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're along for the ride this afternoon, first, thank you for joining us here with DriversEye Live. It's been a very last-minute effort to put this all together, to the point that our typical producer, Jordan Worth, has not been available, and that's quite okay. But we wanted to get some cameras up.
Detained.
Yes, to some degree. We wanted to get some cameras up and share the session, this first ever standalone qualifying session for the GTO and GTU cars, and then the general production cars. We've got part 1 of that, anyway, out of the way from Barber Motorsports Park. The general production cars will be beginning their session at right around 2:10 Central Time. So we'll have a green flag here for HPDE shortly, and then once they complete their session, we'll have a 30-minute qualifier for the Continental Tire specific GP1, GP2, and GP3 classes. Very, very excited to see how GP1 in particular goes, being that they'll be they will be the quickest cars out on circuit, able to pick their way through the slower general production cars and kind of have that road to themselves without needing to look in their mirrors. Very, very excited to see how that session goes. So stick with us here. We'll have some cameras up. And you'll be able to follow along with some of the action in HPDE. We're going to step aside here on DriversEye Live. Brendan Kesmerick, Ryan West, qualifying day at Barber Motorsports Park for the World Racing League. We'll be back in just about 30 minutes' time. Stay with us. Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park, just outside of Birmingham, Alabama, for Friday's bonus qualifying coverage here on DriversEye Live. My name is Brendan Kazmarek. That's Ryan West. We've been having what I guess could be vaguely described as a production meeting here in the break in between during one of our HPDE sessions. And now it is time to qualify our general production cars, GP1, 2, and 3 30-minute session. We've had that clarified by timing guru Dave McDaniels. Dave McDaniels is to my right-hand side. And this will be, as we said earlier, spec continent, or a single provider, I guess, Continental tire, not a spec tire as such. But it's got to come out of the Continental stables.
There's two. No, there's only two that you can use. There's the rain tire and the dry tire.
Which makes
it spec.
I guess it's spec. That's fair.
Anyway, well, it's not spec by size though. Anyway.
Sure. A very kind soul has picked up our turn 5 camera, which blew over in the wind earlier. So one extra camera up for this afternoon's little mini coverage. In the future, hope to have all of our cameras up and do this as a proper production, but that's why we're calling it bonus coverage. It's to manage expectations. We've been doing that well over the years, and want to get back into that as we do a little bit of club-style coverage here for qualifying. It is a fairly healthy GP1 field. I think if I do a little bit of math, we're just under half the field is GP1, 2, and 3 this weekend, and GP1 and GP2 making up the bulk of that. I'm told there's an onboard this weekend for Blitzkrieg racing, which might just be a step too far. We'll see what we can do.
I mean, that's less workload for you if you can make it work, you know?
That's fair. Problem is I just generally don't know what I'm doing otherwise. With these,
I mean, who does? Who does know what they're doing?
Oops.
Other than that, you know, not really nobody.
It's the Screaming Goat BMW 325i LS powered, because of course it is. Up over the rise of the hill here at turns 12 and 13. The PC number 44 sits in behind it, followed by a host. Well, at least 2 open throttle cars. Bright green BMWs with the Imposter, the TC Klein BMW M235 IR there in the background.
Yep.
Coming through the shot now.
DC Racing, they were not out.
No, is that right?
Yes.
Interesting.
As well as the number 5 of All-Star Racing making their return to WRL. See which drivers are named against that entry. Usually a fun entry list. GT Racing sets the early pole time, of course, this being the first actual lap. The answer is we don't really know what's going to happen. 142.1. Oh, there it is. Oh, look at this. Oh my goodness. It's got a tank on it.
These are the new, this is the Blitzkrieg Racing number 242. Which James Kennedy. Yes, V3. James Kennedy is behind the wheel of that car this weekend with the new, let's call it demo unit, I suppose. Being this weekend, that's a me pun, not a him pun, against the Barber bandwidth. Important for me to take credit for that, I felt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good line down into 11 and 12 here. Hanging there, but that may be on our side because, again, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. But I'm doing my best, whatever that happens.
Time's already tumbling. We're number 5 of All's note, and they just, as I start to speak, down the 139s is what you need to do. Here, get the 29 Screaming Goat, followed by the 5 All-Star Racing, and the 180. Samsung Racing Communications BMW.
Pick up the Screaming Goat car here down into turn number 5, if I've got my bearings all straight here. Yeah. Just over the rise out of turn 4 here, and we'll see it alongside the number 24 of Montgomery. Nope, 24 of Bruce Innovations. Change has taken place over the last couple of events or so.
76 of Boulder currently leads GP2 with a 142.6, followed by the 83 of Palomar and the number 2.2 of Rebel Racing.
There's our number 29 here. it is. Your current provisional pole sitter. The blue car in front of it is that Bruce Innovations car, and then, of course, followed by number 29. That rumble of the LS engine in the front of that BMW headed out of turn 8 and in towards turns 9 and 10. Quick little sequence of corners there.
Of course, the number 29, the current pole sitter in GP1, already having claimed their first victory this season, last time out at Eagles Canyon.
Is that right?
That locks them into the playoffs.
Oh, gosh. It's tough.
Real tough.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what WRL should have as a playoff.
A playoff? I think absolutely not, actually.
That's how you make COTA the big ticket race. If you want to race, you're in the playoffs. You got to come to Sebring and High Plains.
There's no way if we were to do that, it wouldn't be called the Race for the Chase or Quest for the Cup.
Race for the Chase.
It would be, yeah, sure not. Oh, this is a Ignore the dot in the lower left. I apologize. All of the shine and polish that's been put on this production over the years by Joseph and Jordan Worth and Ryan Bauer and Zach Johnson and Tanner Johnson, all the people who have been involved in DriversEye Live productions this year have been immediately wiped away. That varnish has been stripped off, and now you get Brendan Kazmarek, who doesn't know what he's doing, pushing buttons in the production booth. I wish it had gone differently. I do.
And, you know, as an aside to that, if you are looking for a way to springboard your production career, your average time is about 8 months from working with us to, like, getting a real job in production.
We have exactly one person.
I mean, there's been more than a couple. Jordan's doing his thing
Oh,
now.
that's fair, yeah.
Zach has a real job. Tanner has a real job.
Not.
Oh, well, I'm not thinking of Tanner. Who's the other one? The NFL one that does the red zone.
Gabe did.
Gabe.
You like Gabe. He already had
I mean,
jobs in production.
Fair enough.
So your pole sitter now is no longer the number
9-4.
29 from Screaming Goat Racing. It's the 9-4 Motorsports number 3 Corvette, which I can pick up headed down into turn 7A and B here in just a moment. It is one of our favorite cars here in the series. It's not us picking favorites as commentators. It is just a really well-built piece of machinery, and in a field that is otherwise full of BMWs, that C5 Corvette is really, really strong and very, very consistent. A lot of fun to watch that car. We usually get an onboard feed as well, just haven't tracked it down. Second now in GP1, at least provisionally, is a number 150 from ASM. So it's still the Honda S2000.
I believe so.
Yep, up in GP1 now. All-Star Racing, the number 5, which is occasionally does carry aboard at one Steve Park. I think it's still on the side of that car. It makes a left-hand turn into the pit lane. Oh, we've lost our turn 5 camera again. Gone face down in the dirt.
Anyway.
Screaming Goat Racing,
There's a
29,
big filter there.
followed by the Samson Racing Communication, number 180 BMW there.
I want to talk about GP2.
Nope.
76 of Boulder.
Yep, thank you.
Still on pole at GP2 with a 142.6, followed by the 83 of Palomar Racing, a 142.7. So those times have not been improved since they first went out there. So the GP2 car is having a little bit more rough of a time finding extra lap time out there, whereas the GP1 times have fallen like 4 seconds.
Apologies for the internet here. We are doing our best, I promise you. Still with us, Ryan?
So I know the question always is, does the alternative internet solution provide enough uplink? But
no. It appears the answer
would it be
is
providing
no.
enough right now?
No, it doesn't appear to be.
Okay. Like, because it seems pretty bad at the moment.
It's not great.
Okay.
But the Wi-Fi here is worse, so
Gotcha.
need to sort that out for tomorrow.
Yes. Well, tomorrow we shouldn't have the same problem because you're only going to be sending
Audio.
a voice.
Yeah. There is that Corvette, number 3.
Yep. 3 for Corvette.
That car does now have a Do It For Dale sticker on the back of it.
Yes.
Very
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Look at it rumble through there. just taking it down like a Corvette at the racetrack.
Got 8 cars at the moment, separated by 2 seconds. So that's kind of our lead pack, if you like. The top 3, those first 3 cars on the provisional podium in GP1, 94 Motorsports, ASM, and Screaming Goat Racing, currently totaling just over 0.3 of a second between them.
Well, see, it's important, Brendan, when you're talking about qualifying, you don't talk about podium, you talk about rows.
I suppose that's true.
So the front 2 rows are separated by 0.6.
Yeah, All-Star Racing there is going to rest on that 138.876, and that'll be the last car within a second of your GP1 class here. Improvement last time around from 94 Motorsports drops the provisional pole time down to a 138.274. ASM 139.8 was not able to improve last time through, just about 1.4 seconds off of the lap time that it set on its second lap out of the pit lane. So that 9.4 car kind of showing that you can still eke out lap times even after that initial kind of shine wears off of the tire. And even that's, let's call it the spec Continental tire, the single provider in the GP 1, 2, and 3 classes, that it's good to see that longevity, I say, it will last the whole race tomorrow on Saturday, tomorrow on Sunday. But even able to get the quickest laps out of it, 6, 7, 8 laps into the start of a stint. Unlike the GTO, GTU cars, where we really didn't see much improvement beyond the first 5 or 6 laps.
Yes.
Your thoughts, Ryan?
Continental tire is the official tire of the general production class.
Screaming Goat Racing down through the right-hander at turn number 13. A long right-handed curve up towards 14 and 15, dodging the shadows. Keeps the car to the right-hand side of the track, back to the apex. Crosses the line. Keep an eye on live timing, see if they're able to improve. No, 139.6.
9.4 gets down into the 37s. 37.9 for the pole time right now.
Yeah, just after ASM was able to improve, as a matter of fact. So ASM puts down a 139.4, and the 9.4 goes even quicker on lap number 7. As you said, first car into the 137s. Palomar Racing number 38 into the top 5 on the back of a 139.6, which is a 1/10 of a second quicker than the number 180 from Samson Racing Communications has gone thus far. AR Motorsports, who I think I'm right in saying is a World Racing League newcomer, in that number 146. Up into P7 in class, and then your GP2 pole sitter is now the number 55 AOA Racing.
If they're not careful, they're going to break into the 39s here. They'll be, you know, that is a, I believe that's the no, it's a 3 series.
So the M2 is the 85. I just saw that.
Right. I think this is a 3 series.
Okay.
I believe.
Samson comes through, does not improve. Palomar comes through, also does not improve.
Boulder improves by a bit.
There's the 146 across the line. Good looking car, but not an improvement in lap time, 141.1. Does not get that car up any further. A quick shot here over at turns 7A and 7B. They've actually paved a bigger portion of the curb on driver's left in the left-handed part of the corner. It's a little difficult to see from this camera, other than when cars really straight line that left-handed cut. No track limits there enforced. I don't know how you possibly could when you add an extra 4 feet of pavement. It's just part of the racing line there, up and over the curb.
Just like that.
On the brakes, yep. We still have the... Yes, here we go, down through turns 1 and 2. Section of the course we haven't seen quite yet. The camera's down there, back on the throttle, rise up the other side. Out of 3, crest of turn 4. Bright blue BMW on the binders into turn 5. Marks it really early back to the apex there and tries to diamond the corner off. sets up for this long-ish run down into turn number 7.
ASM improves, but still cannot quite get to the 9.4 Motorsports car. Only 0.16 of a second behind, so it's a 138.1.
Close, but not
getting
close
closer.
enough. Yeah.
I think they took a break. They've got way fewer laps in hand versus the number 3, and I think that's going to be the move here. Is you put in 3 or 4 quick laps if you can, and then take the car to the pits, let the tires cool down, and try again.
Yeah, I mean, the car will be getting lighter all the time, right, as you burn the fuel off throughout the course of this 30-minute session. We're late here into 11 and 12. Gets the car back to the apex at 12. Looked for a second like that car may spear off into the grass up over the apex on the right-hand side of the circuit, but was able to get the car slowed down just in time. This Blitzkrieg car sits 9th in class at the moment, number 242. And I would guess that this car, this lap, not likely to be an improvement based on how ragged that run through turns 11 and 12 is. Or was. Screaming Goat Racing into the pit lane. On the limit, do they make the left-hand turn into the paddock? No, they don't. So Screaming Goat Racing, just as you said a minute ago, Ryan, into the pit lane, cool the tires off maybe, and send the car back out for one more run with just over 12 minutes remaining on the clock.
In very much the same vein as Formula 1 here, you do want a run at the end, because in theory the track is the grippiest it's going to be, it's the cleanest it's going to be, because all the other cars have run over the clag and got that moved offline. So if you're familiar with Formula 1 and watching the qualifying there, it is going to be a similar situation where you really want to try to go out at the end if possible. You don't want to run short and run out of time and have a flying lap that you wish you could have got because the tires are at the perfect window. But I think as we see this format more and more, people are going to have opinions about what direction they need to be going as far as strategy. And indeed, one of the open throttle BMWs comes to the pit lane.
Worth noting, speaking of strategy there, with that number 5 All-Star Racing car having gone back into the paddock, they've actually been displaced by the number 38 of Palomar Racing, the San Diego-based BMW team, up into 4th. New provisional pole sitter, the number 150 with a 137.7, just a quarter of a second ahead of the number 3 9.4 Motorsports Corvette. And for the first time in about 15 minutes, it is not a Corvette on the provisional class pole in GP1.
But don't look now, the 9.4 has returned to the track here. I think they just trip timing. They're going to be headed back out. I expect that they'll do a slow lap here to try to bring the tires gently up to temperature, and then they'll probably get a couple flyers here as well before the tires begin to heat soak. The second time you go to heat the tires up, it's not going to take nearly as long to get them into the operating window, which means your window of being able to set that crisp, perfect lap is going to be that little bit smaller because you've already got a cycle on the tires.
It's worth noting as we work into the final sort of stage of qualifying here, 10 minutes left on the clock. This is still a tryout run for the World Racing League, right? So as you said, Ryan, this will generate some opinions, and that is kind of part of the point here. Is I think this is if you're going to do this anywhere, Barber is maybe one of the best places to do it because you can very easily justify the split sessions by saying, well, 60 cars out on track trying to all, use a lower track temperature or at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, is maybe a little bit unfair, or it creates an untenable traffic situation. Whereas here you split the production cars and the Grand Touring cars, you get 30-ish cars on track, half the traffic density, and you give everybody equivalent track conditions and basically the same starting point. I am enjoying it very much. There's a sense of urgency and real intentionality to the sessions, which is very, very cool. But it's still not a done deal. This isn't problem solved. Yep, we're going to keep moving. This is just step one in figuring out maybe how we can be a little bit more efficient and a little bit more competitive in how we handle this stuff. Layla has just pointed out to me here, at the exit of turn number 3, we have looks like a BMW in the wall, missing a left rear tire.
Now that could bring a premature end of the qualifying session, so that's another angle you got to consider is if the qualifying session gets black flagged or goes red or anything like that and you haven't set a time yet, you're saving your fresh set of tires for the perfect opportunity. You run the risk of being too clever about it and having that kind of issue.
up the number on that car. It's the AR Motorsports car, the number 146. Currently sits 8th in GP1, 2.2 seconds off of the class leading lap time from the number 150 of ASM. Even if this doesn't bring a premature end to the session, number one, excuse me, track time is track time, right? So you're not going to not use the track time to, you know, its most efficient, or take as much opportunity as you can out of it. And we do now have a black flag. So if it doesn't end the session, it's certainly going to bring it to a halt. And we've got the 9.4 Corvette who's going to roll to the end of the pit lane and park itself there, anticipating a restart. Happy to report that the AR Motorsports BMW has continued on its way out of turn number 3.
Ooh.
It actually looked like it was missing a left rear wheel, but that's not the case.
So they've just played the move here. That's just worked out really well for 9.4 because now they're going to be at the front of the queue. They're not going to have any traffic.
Yeah.
When and if this does get to go back green, there's not going to be very many laps. So you can't mess about with trying to, okay, I'm going to weave and make myself a gap here so I can, you know, being at the front is going to be a big advantage because the guys behind are going to need every moment they can get to set that time if they're going to compete for the pole here.
Yeah, and how do you set yourself up, right? 2.3 miles is all we've really got to work with for what I anticipate will probably be about 15 cars out on track when we do resume. You'll probably get a handful that just decide not to go back out because, well, we've gotten the best we can out of the tires. We're not likely to improve this much later into the session. But certainly we're at the time of day where the track temperature will probably not be increasing anymore. And if you've been held up on any of your quickest laps, now might be the opportunity to do something about that. So Blaze Racing did improve just before the black flag, 1.7 seconds off of the class lead, and at 139.512 for that number 118 BMW 3 Series, has it up into P6 in GP1. GP2 pole sitter is now the number 83 from Palomar Racing, been shuffled way down the overall running order of the general production classes. And that car, 142.199, has it just about 3/10 ahead of the number 779 from Lagunatix Racing. Interesting team name. Honda Civic, I think.
Nice.
Is that number 779? A Boulder number 76 in third, 142.611. So the top three in GP3 sitting just half a second apart. Really close stuff at the top. Top 2 in GP1, top 3 in GP2.
Brendan, in your role as the branding ambassador for WRL, I just made that up, by the way. That's not a true thing.
Yeah, we don't have a title yet. Don't worry about
Is this Super Pole? Is this Eper Pole?
Eper Pole. It is Eper Pole.
Mega Pole? I like Mega Pole. I know Eper Pole is like a funny thing amongst our group, but Eper Pole is like, that's pretty good. I don't think that'll play well in the WRL paddock based on other jokes like that I've made and not gotten any response on. So, especially when you get people saying, why do you call it the Triple Light with an Australian accent? It's like, well, all right.
Well, I guess
the number 3 comes back out. The 3 comes back. Apps available for most of the GP2 field or GP field here, but I think Mega Pole. This is a Mega Pole.
Mega Pole.
Mega Pole race, or is it a regular qualifying race? You know, that's how you would differentiate it going forward. RJ can pay me for that. That's fine.
We have the
trademark.
Power now. I mean, we have the
that's
power.
A trademark. Now. We have the power. Oh, perfect. Then this is the Mega Pole session. So 4 minutes 11. As you can see here, there's quite a bit of traffic, and there's not a ton you can do about it. As I've already said, you know, you can't. There's no time to try to carve yourself out of space here.
I think we've got 3 laps in it for the front runners here. Well, at least the front runner. Number 85 is an NC Miata, by the way. Just had that confirmed.
Excellent.
2 Palomar cars come by in formation. I think right about now is the point where you're not going to be able to get that third flying lap in.
Yeah, especially if you're in a first-gen Boxster with a small motor. That's going to be a rough hill to climb there.
Yep. this lap and the next one, I think, are going to be the opportunities for that 9-4 Motorsports Corvette in GP1 to try and steal the pole back from the number 150 ASM Honda S2000. Not essential in the beginning of an 8-hour race to be starting on the opposite side of the front row of the grid, but in any case, it's kind of the first time we've been in this position where we've got this urgency to the end of a session, or to any session, really. You could always just make the case, well, we'll come back out and try it in the next session, or we'll wait till the end of the day when it cools down. And that luxury just doesn't exist anymore. If you're going to go and steal this first ever mega pole away from, from the Honda S2000, then now is your chance. You've got to go do it. And, you know, these 9-4 guys, especially the team that's behind the Corvette, that car's so competitive race in, race out. I think they know they've got the pace in the car to kind of go get this first one, this first mega pole. And, yeah, I'm excited to see what we can do. First flying lap for that Corvette will be completed here in a moment's time, the number 3 across the line, and they've done it. 137.255. That's cool tires. That's a rubbered-in track, and that's a clear track with no traffic. That may be the best we're going to see out of a GP1 car all weekend. Ideal conditions, low on fuel, end of the session, boom, Corvette to pole ahead of the number 150. Now, does the 150 have a response? Have they gone back out in their Honda S2000 from ASM?
It looks like they have.
It back. Eyes on the last couple of corners here. I don't see black Honda S2000 out.
They definitely have a last lap time of 6 minutes, which means they have.
Oh, yeah, they would have. Yeah, very good call. Screaming Goat Racing still there in third, by the way. No changes further down. Actually, haven't seen anybody else improve up at the top. The 851 of AOA Racing drops in a lap time of a 142.4. We'll need to track that down tomorrow. Very intrigued by the 851's presence. The 85 improves as well down in GP2.
Okay, here comes the ASM car. They're going to be updating their lap time here shortly.
Yep. Does not improve, but the 157.3 kind of that says to me that was a bet-in lap, right? Let's get
sure, but like this is their shot though. They've got one shot at it. 9-4 is going to get 2 bites at the apple here. I don't think they're going to improve, if I'm being really honest. But
I wouldn't think so.
They're going to get 2 bites, so you have less pressure on that first lap because you know if you mess it up, you got one more.
9-4 improves again. Sorry, Ryan. 137 flat.
Ugh.
So it's made the job for that Honda S2000 of AS Motorsports that much harder. We'll pick it up, headed down into turn number 7 here in a moment's time. We've only got a small selection of cameras up for today. Of course, we'll have track-wide coverage by the time we start racing tomorrow morning. But here comes the black S2000 up over the curb at turn 7, down to the apex. We'll get on the throttle early and set itself up for this long down and then uphill run into the 9 and 10 chicane. Not quite flat out on a DOT tire, but very, very close to it. Climbs the curb. No, not really. In the right-hander at turn number 10. Enters stage right on the way into 11. A slower moving Bruce Innovations car. Good use of the apex curb there at 11 and up into 12. Tracks out well at the exit of 13. Into the right-hander, and then it's a long, long, long right-hander. Back to the throttle early, modulate the throttle back to the left-hander at turns 14 and 15, and then onto the front straightaway. Checkered flag is not yet waving. However, the 150 comes across the line and does not improve to the point that they're 1.4 seconds off of the time they set earlier. Speaking of, I've just caught the number 3 in the camera. Here it is into the last sequence of corners. They are still very, very much committed through this last sector of Barber Motorsports Park. Another 2.3 miles complete across the line into the 36s.
36.7. Huge swing. A huge amount of time they're able to pull out of that.
So much for saying they weren't going to improve on the back of the best opportunity they had right after the green flag. They got 3 laps in relatively clear traffic. Fuel coming down all the time, and a really, really good set of Continental tires. that stayed not just consistent throughout the run, but allowed them to improve tenths of a second at a time leading up to the end of this session.
Wow. So that puts them a full second ahead of the ASM car right now for the pole. Of course, both cars starting on the front row here. But I have to imagine, Brendan, that a Corvette C5 is going to have a better drag into the first corner anyway.
On the start tomorrow
morning. It would be cool to
morning,
claim. Yeah, it would be cool to claim pole if you're ASM, but at the same time, I think you're going to have the same result going into turn one either way.
Well, that's probably true, but in GP1 it matters maybe a little more than it otherwise might, right? You want to be down to the apex at turn one. You don't want to be shoved out wide over the apex curve, or out. The exit curve, or out into the runoff, squeezed into the grass. You don't want anything like that to happen. Number one. And number two, it means you've got clear track out in front of you for a good 30 seconds up to the back of the GTO and GTU field, which will have taken the green flag earlier. Right? So, I mean, GTO, GTU, you can make the same case, but certainly in GP1 as compared to GP2 and GP3, that is kind of going to be your best opportunity. Is to get the advantage down to the apex of one and then carry that with clear track around the first couple of laps. It's really good.
So this was fun.
Yeah.
This is great. We should do this again. This is a good time. I love it.
You know what? I have enjoyed it. And I don't know that we carry much weight as commentators. Checker flag is out at start finish. But if we were to be asked what we thought of it, I'd say, yeah, I think we're in.
It would be even cooler if we had sent Layla down during the HPDE to like interview the GTO like pole sitter.
You know what? If they stacked them in the pit lane, that would have been much easier. We could have done a little pit walk.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Well, I mean, maybe that's just a rule we got to use then. They call everybody to impound that gets the pole.
Mega pole impound.
And then that's mega pole.
We got to come up with a better name than mega pole.
No,
I mean, the idea, but I don't know that mega pole is.
I already texted RJ.
Oh,
texted RJ. The line is mega pole. I think super pole and hyper pole, all those are already taken. So
pole.
you know.
King pole.
King pole.
We'll workshop it. The checkered flag is out on the second ever WRL qualifying session.
This is the worst. It's mega pole.
This has been an hour and 45 or so, I think, well spent by the World Racing League and by DriversEye Live. If it's something you enjoy, please bring it back tomorrow into the comments during our race coverage, beginning at 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, and just for Ryan, 7 a.m. Pacific Time. Also for JD.
Thank you.
Where we'll be live for flag-to-flag coverage of Saturday's race. Bring that into the comments. We'll have some chatter about it. It would have been nice to have notorious RHJ, Robert Hill Jr. on the call today.
See, I made that one stick too.
Yeah, I think he could have brought the heat to this session. But I think we did a fine job without him anyway. And Jordan Worth will be back on the ones and twos for us tomorrow from Barber Motorsports Park. We'll have a social media graphic up here in a couple of moments' time with the class pole sitters in all 5 of our GT and general production classes from Barber Motorsports Park. This is one of the best events on the calendar, Ryan. I think I'm fair in saying.
Yes, because where else can you see world-class, genuinely world-class, I think. We have viewers from around the world. World-class racing combined with securing financing for your new pontoon boat.
That's what the quiet hour is for on Sunday. Is just take a gander over to the boat show.
Come on down. We got bait liners, everybody. Let's come take a look. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, powered by Evinrude. We're not, but it's a good idea, actually. It's been a fun... Go ahead.
Never mind. No, go. Okay. Keep going.
All right. There are many opportunities to engage,
yes.
and we're going to have some fun with that over the course of the weekend. The Alabama Boat Show takes place here at Barber Motorsports Park on the same weekend, of course. It's been that way every year we've been here, and unfortunately, it tends to zap our cell bandwidth, which is just not ideal for anybody. But I think we're going to have a good time anyway. 59 cars on the entry list. Last we saw a nearly full field with some of the highest. It is maximum track density, same as we get at COTA and Road Atlanta, where they also sell out. COTA's not quite a short track, but these 2.5 mile tracks really do cram the cars in here with nearly 60 starters. We're in for something pretty exciting, I think, over the next 2 days. And now that qualifying is complete, we know exactly what the beginning of the race is going to look like. So for Ryan West, I am Brendan Kazmarek, Layla Kazmarek up here in the booth with me as well. We'll be on social media over the course of the weekend. Feel free to tag both at World Racing League and at DriversEye Live during the course of the weekend. She'll be interacting as the days wear on here. And 15 hours of racing, of course, we'll be here with you all day Saturday, all day Sunday for round 2 of the National Championship, the World Racing League 2025 Championship season. Thanks for being with us, everybody. And until tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central Time, take care.